Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. Glad to have you with us this week. Later on in the show, we're going to talk about shipping and Rhode Island's ports. Always a hot topic as the state's leaders try to figure out how to advance the economy and look at the state's natural resources. We're going to talk about that with Gavin Black from Moran Shipping. But right now, pleased to be joined by Max Brickle. He is the president of the Brickle Group up in Woonsocket, a multi-generational family manufacturer up there. Thanks for being with us, Max.
Thank you, Ted. Glad to be here.
So let's start off. We love this in television. You have brought props to help us understand what you do. You do a lot of different. You're not just turning out one widget or anything like that. You're doing a lot of stuff up there. So walk us through some of the stuff you do at the Brickle Group.
Yeah, we don't do too many commodity products. In order to survive in a manufacturing environment in the U.S., over the decades, we continue to morph into different types of products to manufacture. We stay out of the retail segment for most part, and we have 4 textile divisions, and some of the products that we make. Our felt division, Boot Cart Industrial Textiles, makes the fabric that goes on the outside of the bean boot. That's a specialty product, so we will do a little bit in retail when it's very specialty based. And we do a lot for the Defense Department. We make the blankets, the pea coat fabric, any
wool
of their
blankets. These are thick wool blankets.
Wool blankets for the Army, Army, Navy, Air Force. Now we're making them for Afghanistan. And as well, we make the berets. So you can see the beret. This is the Black Army beret, but we make the berets for all the armed forces. And again, wool-based, but we do other products other than wool. We'll do polyester, polypropylene, all different types of specialty fibers as well. Some of the other interesting things we make is...
This might be my favorite one. People are going to love this.
Yeah, I'm a huge sports fan. Love the Red Sox, and we got the contract with Rawlings probably about 10, 15 years ago, and that's an all-star ball. We make all the yarn that goes inside the Major League Baseballs. There's 3 different types of yarn, and we produce that not only in Woonsocket, but in a consortium with a small spinner that's in Sudbury, Massachusetts, Millbury S&D Spinning. So, and I get these little baseballs that they send to us for the World Series, the Home Run Derby balls. So I have a nice collection of them.
So when we see, Dave Ortiz who have a crack in the bat there, you made the stuff that's inside that baseball.
Absolutely, and every time the pitcher goes like this to get a new ball, we're very excited about it.
It's good
because
for
it increases our production. Again, something that shows our diversity. This product right here is a hair enhancement product made by Spencer Forrest. And what we do is we take wool, we clean it, we shave it into microparticles, and Spencer Forrest dyes it, and it's put in this bottle, and it's used for hair enhancement for people that are a little thinning on top. And as you can see, I could be not only a producer but a user as well.
A user of that. You like those kind of products. So you get a lot of fiber comes to you guys in this, and you still have a vertical textile mill up there in Woonsocket. How much do you think you go through a year to make all these various products?
We utilize approximately 18 to 20 million pounds a year, and because we're 100% vertical, we have a recycling division as well. A lot of our products use recycled fiber, so we have a recycling mill that will take fiber, usually pre-consumer waste, so no old clothing. It's all pre-consumer waste that comes out of the textile mills, not only in the U.S. but around the world. We bring it in, recycle it, and make finished product out of it.
So your name is Max Brickle. It's the Brickle Group. Obviously, it's been in your family for a while now. I believe you're the 3rd generation here. 80 years you've been there. Tell us a little bit about how the company got its start and has stayed in your family.
Well, Hyman Brickle started the company in New York City, and it was basically collecting rags on the streets of New York from the different textile cut and sew facilities.
And he would be your?
He's my grandfather. And the technique was buy it a nickel, sell it a dime. So it was a pretty easy concept business. And then when my father came on board in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s, he branched us out into international business, procuring wools from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and trading it to the woolen mills that were both in the Northeast as well as in the Southeast. He also in the 70s brought us into manufacturing, so we started more of a vertical play, so we wouldn't be so reliant on our customer base. And then when I came on board, we continued that vertical play, making more finished product, branching out into non-commodity fields. fields, and that's basically how we've prospered.
Now, are you working on a 4th generation to be ready to take over? What do you think?
I have 4 children right now. One just went to the University of Miami, 3 daughters and 1 son, and I think a couple of them might actually be interested in the business.
So maybe I continue on. We'll have to change the name.
It will sustain.
And you talked about it a little right in your answer there, but I mean, the story of manufacturing people think about in New England is of decline, right? They think about, oh, we used to have so many mills, so many factories, and so many of them have closed with competition, particularly from Asia, the last couple decades. Obviously, that's not the story with you guys. You've been buffeted by those same trends. What did you guys do differently that means you're still sitting here with me alive and well and doing your thing in 2015 where so many others aren't?
Yeah, specialty products. We make products that you don't have time to import it from overseas. There's specialty technical aspects of it. We have quick turn times. We can deliver in virtually 7 to 21 days, but depending on the product mix. And it doesn't lend itself to be an imported product. Some items we used to make in the U.S. that we're no longer competitive making, we've set up joint ventures in India, China, and Vietnam to bring those products in. So it's only enhanced our business, but we've grown our manufacturing base, our employee base, and that's what's exciting. We've been able to maintain business here and grow it.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Max Brickle from the Brickle Group about his Woonsocket manufacturing company and what they're up to now. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. We're talking today with 2 different important sectors of Rhode Island's economy. Later on, we're going to talk about the state's the waterways and the ports, and with Moran Shipping and some ideas on how they could even further expand the economic activity there. But right now, we're talking with Max Brickle. He is the president of the Brickle Group, 3rd generation in his family to run the manufacturer, which is up there in Woonsocket. And we were talking before the break about how you've managed to survive and thrive. And one way is to be taking these Defense Department contracts. You just got announced a big one, $29 million to make berets for soldiers, and it was around the same time that Congressman Cicilline, actually, you convinced him to get past this Brickle amendment in a defense bill. So tell us sort of that whole story in a jumble together.
So what has happened in the past is the foreign military supply side of the government procurement has been giving money to Afghanistan and Iraq to procure their own military supplies. And they've been buying those goods from Pakistan and China using our U.S. dollars. And typically what they get in is a poor quality product, and it creates harm for their own services. So the Brickle Amendment, basically what it did, it gave visibility to American manufacturers about contract opportunities overseas. And it also fortified the law that says it must be BERI compliant, so 100% USA made. Because of the visibility of the Brickle Amendment now through Congressman Cicilline, we've been able to get visibility, and we've won contracts for berets in Afghanistan. In the last month, we won blanket contracts to outfit not only the Afghan Army, but the Afghan police force. So it'll bolster our need for employment in this state and probably increase our revenue about 15 to 20% in the year 2015. And hopefully over the next 5 years, it will be an annualized contractual arrangement. So it's not only opportunities for us, but all manufacturers within the U.S. So we greatly appreciate the work that Congressman Cicilline did on the project.
And it's not the only thing you've won lately, that those defense contracts. You also recently won a Rhode Island Manufacturing Excellence Award. What do you think won it for you? What did the judges say?
It's all about the people that work for us. Really, it's the commitment to lean manufacturing principles, and it's all about continuous improvement. We really focus. Our greatest asset are the people that work for us, and we really came to that realization about a decade ago. So we're putting a lot of time into training and also engagement of the employee. They know how to fix problems more than we do. So instead of managers telling people what to do, now the people that are running the equipment and they're on the floor, they basically come to us and they say, listen, these are areas for improvement. This is how best to fix these problems. So it's really about problem solving. And now that they're trained to do it, they're actually very smart, all these folks. We never gave an opportunity to show that. And so it's very exciting for us right right now, and it gave us the opportunity to go for the award, and thankfully we won it. So it was great for the company and great for the employees that work for us.
We're talking with Max Brickle from the Brickle Group. You're also part of a group of manufacturing companies. I believe Vibeco's in there and some others. The Raimondo administration has this new Real Jobs RI training program. They're trying to reboot how they do training. We actually talked with Scott Jensen from DLT a few months ago about that, and they want industry folks to come together with sort of pitches to combine on how to do that. You guys, your group got one of the training grants for a manufacturing excellence center. What do you want to do with it? What's your proposal behind there?
Yeah, we need people right now to work for us. We have open slots for 10 to 15 people, and we can't fill them. And it's because they don't have the basic needs of walking into a manufacturing company. You know, the skills of a little bit of math, showing up on time, problem solving. Those are some basic requirements. Knowing how to read measurement tools. You don't need a college education to do that, but you need some basic concepts. Also, just basic safety. And so our process for this Manufacturing Excellence Center is going to be a curriculum that we'll be able to send folks to that really have an interest in manufacturing, to give them those base building blocks, so when they come in to work for us, they'll be ready to go. And right now, we spend so much time training them as soon as they walk in the door that it is a waste of resources. We really want them to have a specific center they can go to and get that base training.
One other question for you before we go to another break. We're always talking about what else Rhode Island can do to help business, improve the economic climate, particularly a lot of talk with the new governor about manufacturers. Any low-hanging fruit you see, anything that the state you think should be doing that would really make a difference for the manufacturing industry?
Yeah, Governor Raimondo has done an excellent job right now with Rhode Island Commerce, providing some benefits to the manufacturers. The training grants, this Rhode Island grant that we were just talking about is phenomenal. And they also, Rhode Island Commerce has government liaisons that will come into your company and help train your workforce on how to utilize the government websites to see what opportunities there are. This one gentleman, Lou Francis, comes in. It's free of charge, and he basically trains our people how to utilize the system. He does a phenomenal job, and he's been a great asset to us. And we're currently looking to bring in one of our customers to move to Rhode Island. Could be 150 to 200 jobs, a great opportunity for Rhode Island to expand its manufacturing base. And Deputy Secretary Stephen Pryor met with us 3 days after a phone call to figure out a way to entice this company to come and work and stay in Rhode Island. So it shows that the governor has really decided to make manufacturing on the front burner for the state because she knows it'll lead to the success of the economy of the state.
Well, music to her ears to hear that that's the feeling out in the manufacturing community. We'll be keeping an eye on to see what happens. Max Brickle, thank you very much for joining us. But don't go away, because coming up next, we're going to talk with Gavin Black from Moran Shipping about deep water ports, the Panama Canal, and much more. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and I'm now pleased to be joined by Gavin Black. He's a principal at Moran Shipping in Providence, I believe, right?
Yes, that's our world headquarters.
That's your
Providence,
headquarters.
Rhode Island.
But
Yes.
you're all over the place. We're going to talk
right,
about that,
yes.
but Providence is your world headquarters.
Right.
So thanks for being here, Gavin.
Oh, glad to be here. Thank you
for inviting me.
for
the show. Last time you were on TV, you said you were like a college football player getting some questions at the locker, right?
That's right. A little bit different.
A little different environment. I won't ask you about Patriots look good last week.
Right.
We're happy about that, but I'll hold off on those questions. Let's talk about your business. People hear about all the different shipping and
Right.
sort of water-related businesses we have in Rhode Island, but they do a lot of different things. You guys are, as I understand, ships agents.
Yes, we
Tell
are
us about what
ships
that is.
agents, and as agents, we work for on behalf of a principal. And that principal, generally speaking, is a ship owner or operator who may be half a world away in Greece or Hong Kong, Singapore, London. And what we do for them is stand in their shoes and handle all the logistics, all the interests of the cargo, and all the husbandry matters, which are the vessel issues itself, for that principal while it is in one of our ports.
So they're kind of entrusting it to you when it gets there.
That's right. So we will begin correspondence with a vessel's captain immediately after finding out that we've been appointed as agent. And that captain will send us probably twice a day ETA updates, requirement updates, weather updates, cargo updates, and we'll relay those to the local port interests between the federal, local, state government authorities and the terminal operators and the pilots, the tugs, the line handlers. and we will make sure that that vessel is brought in expediently and safely and is a quick turnaround and can get back on its voyage.
Now, how long has Moran been around, and how many ports are you working at these days?
We are proudly celebrating our 78th year this year.
Brickle, I think, was 80 years, so we have a
right.
good combo.
So we're right behind him. We are also a closely held family business, and we have since expanded from our humble beginnings here in Providence, Rhode Island, to 20 full-service operations offices serving over 100 ports in North America.
Wow. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, you a few months ago co-authored a Providence Journal op-ed about increasing the activity in our ports, commercial activity, and you mentioned, as everyone always does, over and over, the importance that we have deep water ports.
Yes.
But I know there are probably people at home, they're not experts on ports. I can't claim I'm an expert myself. Remind us, why is it so important that these are deep water ports that we have in Rhode Island?
Right. So there are, I can give you a non-exhaustive handful of features that make a port attractive. And number one among them, and more important than ever, is that that port has deep water. Due to economies of scale and the increase in the size of the Panama Canal, vessels are getting larger and larger, and with them getting larger, they also get deeper. So how competitive you are as a commercial port is directly related to how deep your water is. Now, there are some other factors, such as shoreside operation space, distance from the ocean for the vessels to come in and out, temperate climate so that you don't have a lot of port closures during the year, a small tidal range so that your depth doesn't vary greatly within the same time period of a day or a few hours, and lastly and not least importantly is the political influence factor, which is how your port area is perceived for an attractive place to do business.
But you say you put deep water at the top of that list of things.
Absolutely, more important than ever. And here in Rhode Island, we have the second of only 2 deep water ports in New England behind Boston. And we have a 35-foot, 0-inch brackish water transit depth anytime, day
People
or
at home
night.
don't know what you mean, but it sounds like a lot.
So that is significantly deep. 40 is the gold standard. We can bring a vessel in at 40 feet with a stage of rising tide. So we have good water depth. We do well. We grade out well in that category. We have great proximity to the Marine Superhighway right off our coast, off the coast of New York City. So we grade out really well in that category too. It doesn't take a vessel very long to get from the ocean to our ports and then back out to sea. We grade outstanding in shoreside space capacity with the ports in Quonset and in Providence. We have tremendous amount of space compared to our competing ports in other parts of the country. We grade out really well in temperate climate, so we don't have to have 365 days of beautiful weather, but how many days of the year will your vessel be not able to come in because of fog or ice or some kind of a storm? And so there we grade out really well. And where I think that my experience with the political climate now and the perception of what it is out there in the international shipping community doesn't line up. We have the political dials set in the right place, as I mentioned in my op-ed, to attract serious investment in our ports here, and that hasn't always been the case.
But the op-ed also, it felt like part of what you were arguing was that more needed to be done. We may have the right opinions now in place among state leaders from your perspective, but they would then need to take some actions in your view. Like, what comes to mind?
Sure. So in my view, it's a status quo plus scenario. We have top-notch people down in Quonset, auto processors that are world-class, port directors that are brilliant and ambitious, and we have that same capacity in Providence with Port and the Waterston Terminal Services. But what we need is support of those industry experts from the government, which can then advocate the ports in a collective manner to the outside shipping community, saying, hey, listen, Rhode Island is a serious port community worthy of investment. And the political leadership of Mayor Elorza and Governor Raimondo now, like, the silver lining of the recent economic recession was that we began to really value these high-paying blue-collar jobs that our ports provide. And we've seen tremendous leadership from Mayor Elorza and strong leadership from Governor Raimondo to pay attention and to listen to the port community to say, maybe there are things that we can reach out and capture if we can organize our efforts and support the experts at the ports with government support and advocacy. maybe even a little marketing.
How significant do you think the opportunity is there to increase commercial shipping at Quonset and the Port of Providence? I mean, you know, people wonder, is it we're talking about, you know, a dozen jobs maybe, or are we talking about a lot of activity is available if we take some steps?
So it's the direct jobs that you would be getting for more commercial activity. Just to take Quonset as an example, if we bring in another auto line down into the Ro-Ro operation, that's more labor jobs for people to take those cars off the vessel and bring them onto the pier, but it also supports the economy in general in indirect ways, so that there's a ripple effect that can spread out into the entire regional hinterlands for the economy by growing, you know, the shipment of goods and the, you know, interrelationships between those areas and the hub and spoke system of the ports of Rhode Island and Boston, Massachusetts.
Now, you know, you talk about the politics of all this and sort of policy decision makers.
Sure.
Your op-ed mentioned going as far back at least as Governor Sondland, study after study after study on the ports. I've seen them myself. You know, how big a problem has this sort of political opposition to expanding what we do with ports been for the industry over the years? I mean, do you think it's held us back significantly?
I think it has frustrated private investment opportunities over the years, where people just kind of get the sense that, well, Rhode Island does have all of these attractive natural features of a serious commercial port, but the political will isn't in place in order for us to be sure that our investment will be there for us in the years to come. And that's consistent with all the studies that we've seen over the years, where there were different visions by the leaders of the community for what Providence should be, for what the Port of Narragansett should be, and that vision has changed recently. And I've experienced that firsthand, and I would like to be able to advocate that we are looking at things differently, and we are in support now of a working waterfront and a commercial port that fits in with all the other great uses of our bay, not competes with it.
Going back to your company, to Moran Shipping, tell me a little, you've been doing more work on, I know, port security.
Yes.
I assume that's becoming a bigger and bigger deal with terrorism concerns and everything else. How much has that expanded?
So the way that happens is that the International Maritime Organization is the maritime arm of the United Nations. And they, over the course of history, respond to the biggest needs in the maritime industry. So whether that be safety of life at sea, or marine pollution, or now in the aftermath of 9/11, port security, they'll set up guidelines which can then be codified into local laws. And what the United States Coast Guard did is they codified the ISPS code, the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code, into the MTSA, which is an enhanced version of it. Most recently, that MTSA legislation is due for an upgrade. And in MTSA 2, an area of focus is going to be cybersecurity. So we got involved in that in 2007 with a maritime port security branch called the Moran Office of Maritime Port Security, based in New York, New Jersey. And what we do is we aid both facilities and vessels with their facility security plans and their vessel security plans, and look at not only their technology infrastructure, but their network security and resiliency and redundancy, both on these vessels and at the terminals. A local example would be, we contracted with the Port of Quonset last year to do an audit of their facility security plan, and then we're given the opportunity to draft them an upgraded facility security plan, and included in that were all kinds of new cameras and a camera operating system that can make the cameras more adaptable and marine, shake, rattle, and roll worthy. So it was a great local effort to enhance the security down at a local port for us.
All right, well that is a lot of interesting stuff going on down there at the ports. We drive by them all the time, but people don't always know what's going on. So I appreciate you, Gavin Black, coming in to talk from Moran Shipping. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this week and every week on Executive Suite. Remember, you can now catch us on the radio Sunday nights at 6:30 on WPRO AM and WEAN FM, which is 99.7. We're also now available as a podcast on iTunes, so you can take us on the go, along with our sister program, Newsmakers. We'll see you back here next week on Executive Suite.